Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining today's webinar. Today, I will be talking about satellite based air quality intelligence monitoring, what it is, why it is important, and how modern technologies like satellite as well as artificial intelligence are transforming the way we understand the air pollution. So, as we all know, that air quality is no longer just an environmental issue. It is directly linked to human health, climate change, urban planning, as well as policy making decisions. With increasing industrialization and urban growth, monitoring air quality accurately and at a scale has become extremely important. In this session, I will explain both the traditional as well as satellite-based approaches, their differences, and how AI-driven analytics help convert raw data into meaningful insights for us. So on your screen, you can see the webinar outline. So let me just briefly walk you through what we will cover today. First, we will start with the basic concepts, so such as what is air and what is its composition. Then we will understand what air pollution is and as well as what air quality index, or what we know commonly AQI, is. After that, we will discuss why AQI monitoring is critical, followed by how air quality is monitored using traditional ground-based methods and their limitations. Then next, we will move to satellite-based AQI monitoring, understanding how satellite collect air quality data and compare the satellite monitoring with the traditional methods. Then, moving on, we will talk about the role of artificial intelligence, the real world use cases, and finally, we will discuss the future of air quality monitoring. So, as I said, let's begin with the basics. So, what is air? To understand what air is a mixture of gases that forms the Earth's atmosphere. It is essential for all living organisms to survive. Then it may be humans, animals, plants. Everyone depends on air. Then apart from breathing also, air also plays a major role in climate regulation, maintaining temperature balance, and supporting weather systems like wind, rain, and clouds. Air also acts as a medium for pollution, unfortunately. So, meaning that pollution released at one location can travel long distances even after regions far away from the source. So, it is not boundary deficient or constrained to a boundary. We will move on to the components of atmosphere, that is in the air. So when we talk about air, it is important that we understand what it is actually made of. So the largest component of air is nitrogen, which makes up about 78%. Nitrogen itself is not directly used by us humans for breathing, obviously we know that, but it plays a very important role in maintaining the atmospheric stability and supporting the plant life indirectly. Now, the second major component is oxygen, which is about 21%. Now, oxygen is essential for breathing for most biological processes that keep us living organisms alive. Now, apart from nitrogen and oxygen, air also contains argon, carbon dioxide, it contains some amount of water vapor and trace gases. Now, these gases may be present in very small quantities, but they have a very strong influence on weather, the climate, and the air quality. Now, for example, if I have to tell you that carbon dioxide plays a key role in regulating the Earth's temperature. Water vapor, like I said, affects the humidity and rainfall. And similarly, trace gases and all the particles can either support life or cause serious pollution related problems as well. Now we move on to what is air pollution. Air pollution happens when harmful substances are released in the air in quantities that can damage human health or the environment. These substances can be gases, solid particles, or even liquid droplets. Some pollution may be visible, like smoke and smog, while some pollution is completely invisible and it is very, very dangerous as well. Now, major sources of air pollution, if we have to note down a few, would be vehicles, industries, thermal power plants. Then there is construction activities going on, agricultural burning, and household fuel use. Air pollution does not stay in one place. Like we covered earlier as well, pollutants can travel long distances due to wind and weather patterns. This means that pollution generated in one city or a region can affect people living far away from that region as well. So, long term exposure to polluted air can cause asthma, lung diseases. Then there are a few heart problems that can be caused. We can also experience reduced immunity and premature deaths also. This is why understanding and also monitoring and mitigating air pollution is extremely, extremely important. Now, this slide will give you an introduction to what AQI is. Now, because air pollution involves so many pollutants and complex measurements, it can be difficult for common people to understand the raw data that is given to us. Now, to solve this problem, the Air Quality Index, or AQI commonly known, was created. Now, what AQI does is it converts complex pollution data into simple numbers and category that tells us how healthy or unhealthy the air is. The AQI scale, as you can see on the screen, generally ranges from good air quality to hazardous air quality. Each category is linked with possible health effects that occur due to it, especially keeping these sensitive groups in mind. So sensitive groups, when I'm telling is that children, then there are elderly people, and also there are people who already suffer from respiratory conditions. Now, this makes AQI a very powerful communication tool, allowing the governments, our health agencies, and also common people, that is the citizens, to quickly understand air quality and conditions that need to be taken necessary actions about. Now next, we will look at what are the key pollutants in the AQI. Now AQI is calculated, like I said, based on several key air pollutants. Now, one of the most dangerous pollutants is the particulate matter, especially the PM 2.5 and PM 10. Now, these particles are extremely small and easily enter our lungs as well as our bloodstream through when we breathe them. Another of the very important pollutant includes the nitrogen dioxide, which mainly comes from the vehicle emissions that are on the city roads. Next is a sulfur dioxide, which is released by industries as well as the power plants. Next will come the carbon monoxide, another harmful gas, especially in traffic heavy areas like our urban cities, while ground level ozone forms due to chemical reactions in sunlight and can cause breathing problems as well. Now, each pollutant that we have mentioned earlier have different health effects, and AQI, what it does is it combines all of them into one easy to understand index. We will now move on to why AQI monitoring is necessary. Now, AQI monitoring is not an optional source anymore. It has become very, very essential. First, it helps to protect the public health by providing early warning when pollution levels become dangerous. Second, AQI data supports the government decision making, such as traffic instructions, then there is industrial control, or any emergency measures during high pollution events. Third, we like to note that AQI monitoring helps researchers also to understand the pollution trends that are happening over the time, now including seasonal variation as well as the long-term changes that are happening. And finally, reliable AQI data will increase public awareness, so encouraging people to adopt cleaner and healthier practices. Now we've learned what AQI is and its basics. Now let us see how AQI is monitored. So AQI monitoring involves measuring pollutants, like we understood, like what is their concentration in the atmosphere. Now traditionally this is done using ground-based monitoring stations that take the directly sample from the air. Now, in recent years, satellite based monitoring has become increasingly important, especially for region and national level analysis. Today, the best air quality monitoring system combine ground data, it combines the satellite data and advanced analytics to provide accurate and consistent results. Now, as you can see on your screen, we will move on to the traditional AQI monitoring methods. Okay, so traditionally AQI monitoring is used the fixed air quality stations installed at specific locations only. Now, these stations are equipped with sensors that continuously monitor or measure the pollutant levels and send data to a centralized system. They are highly accurate and provide reliable local measurements, especially in the urban and industrial zones. However, they do come with a certain kind of limitations because of their cost and infrastructure requirements. These stations are usually limited in number, they are less in number, and obviously because of that, they cannot cover large areas effectively. So, I will now give you a detail of the limitations of the traditional AQI monitoring. Now see, despite their accuracy, traditional monitoring systems have few limitations along with them. Now they provide data only for specific points, like you can see on the screen, leaving large gaps between the stations. Installing and maintaining these stations is expensive. It is also very time consuming. In rural or remote regions, there is no monitoring station at all, which means no reliable AQI data is available for those locations. Now, this will make it difficult to understand large-scale pollution patterns or respond effectively to regional air quality issues. So now we will start an introduction to the satellite-based AQI monitoring. Now that we have understood what the limitations are there for the traditional air quality monitoring, let us move to satellite-based AQI monitoring. Now, satellite-based AQI monitoring means observing air from space using Earth observation satellites that continuously scan the atmosphere. Now, one of the biggest advantages of satellite monitoring is the coverage. Unlike ground stations that we studied earlier that measure air quality at a specific point, satellites can observe entire cities, districts, states, and even countries at once. This will be extremely important because air quality does not follow administrative borders. Pollution can move from one region to another due to wind and also the weather conditions at that time. Satellites can help us see the complete picture instead of just isolated locations. Another important advantage is also the consistency. Now, satellites follow a fixed orbit, as we all know, and collect data regularly, which helps in understanding the daily, seasonal, as well as the long-term pollution trends. Satellite-based AQI monitoring is not meant to replace ground stations. Instead, it is meant to complement the traditional monitoring methods, now filling the data gaps and strengthening the overall air quality assessment. Now that we've understood how air quality monitoring is done through satellites, we will move on to how it can be achieved. Now let's understand how satellites actually monitor air quality. Now, satellites use a technology called the remote sensing. This means they do not directly collect air samples. Instead, they measure how sunlight interacts with gases and particles in the atmosphere. When sunlight passes through the atmosphere, different pollutants absorb and reflect light in different ways. Satellite sensors are designed to detect these changes very, very precisely. For example, certain sensors can detect nitrogen dioxide levels over traffic corridors, while others can track aerosols as well as fine particulate matter over large regions. Satellites can also observe how pollution builds up during the day, how it spreads across regions, and how it reduces after rainfall or even wind changes. Now, these continuous observations help scientists and the decision makers to understand how polluted the air is and where the pollution is coming from and how it is moving. Here you can see on the screen a simple tabular data of comparison between the satellite AQI monitoring as well as the traditional AQI monitoring. Now, we all know at this point it is very important to clearly understand the difference between satellite and traditional monitoring. Traditional monitoring stations are very accurate, but they provide only for specific fixed locations the information. If I give you an example, a city has 10 monitoring stations. We only know the air quality at those 10 points. On the other hand, satellite monitoring provides a complete spatial coverage. It shows air quality across entire regions, including area where there are no ground stations provided. Now, another key difference you can see is also scalability. Expanding ground monitoring requires new installations. It requires land, it requires power supply, as well as heavy maintenance. Expanding satellite monitoring mainly requires data processing and analytics, nothing physical or no physical infrastructure. Now, the most effective air quality monitoring system today use both the approaches together. Ground stations provide the calibration and validation at the point, while satellites provide large-scale visibility and trend analysis. Now we will move on to what Planeta Farm AI is doing, that is, it is using AI in AQI monitoring. Now, satellite data alone is not enough. That is where AI, that is artificial intelligence, becomes extremely important. Satellite generate massive volumes of data every day. We all know that. But manually analyzing this data is not practical. This is where AI helps us to automate this process. AI algorithms first clean the data. They remove all the errors caused by clouds or even the sensor noise and identify only the meaningful patterns. AI also can predict future air quality conditions by learning from the historical data, weather patterns of that location, as well as the pollution sources. For example, we can say that AI can forecast whether pollution levels are likely to increase in the next few days, allowing authorities to take preventive actions instead of reactive measures. Now we will look at the role of satellite plus AI together. When satellite and AI work together, they create a complete air quality intelligence system. Satellite provide continuous large-scale environmental data, while AI converts this data into clear and actionable insights. This combination enables a real-time monitoring, pollution forecasting, early warning signs and alerts, as well as trend analysis. It also supports decision making at multiple levels, from city administrators or to the health departments or even the environmental agencies and the main policies that are affected. Most importantly, satellite plus AI system allows us to move from monitoring pollution only to managing pollution proactively. This integrated approach represents the future of air quality monitoring and the environmental intelligence. Now on your screen, you can see a few of the parameters that Planeta Farm AI is AQI product that is we have made is using. Now let us look at what kind of information it actually provides through satellite-based AQI intelligence dashboard. So this dashboard is designed to convert complex satellite and AI data into simple and understandable visuals. It provides us real-time or near real-time AQI values, showing how air quality is changing throughout the day. Users can see clearly whether air quality is improving or deteriorating, Apart from that, overall AQI, the dashboard also shows individual pollutant levels such as particulate matter, nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, ozone, and other key parameters that are used in AQI calculation. Another important feature is the spatial visualization. So instead of just numbers, the dashboard shows maps. They show different colors. They represent different air quality levels. Now this helps us understand instantly that which area is more polluted and which area is relatively cleaner. The dashboard also trend analysis levels across days, weeks, or even months. This is extremely important because this is useful for planning and policy evaluation. Now, overall, the goal of the dashboard is just to provide decision ready intelligence, not just raw data. On your screen, you could see some applications as well as the use cases. Now, satellite-based AQI monitoring has wide range of real-world applications. One of the most important use cases is in smart cities. Now, city authorities, what they do is they use AQI to manage traffic, control industrial emissions, and issue public health advisories. Another major application is in public health planning. So hospitals and health departments can prepare for increased respiratory cases during high pollution periods. Industries also use AQI monitoring to ensure that the environmental compliance and reduce their pollution footprint. This also helps them to demonstrate transparency and show that they are responsible towards the environment. AQI intelligence is also useful in disaster management, such as tracking smoke from wildfires or industrial accidents and understanding how the pollution is spreading. Along with that, researchers and academic institutions use satellite-based AQI data to study for long-term climate and pollution trends, helping shape future environmental policies. Let's move on now to the future of AQI monitoring. The future of AQI monitoring is moving towards greater accuracy, higher resolution, and faster decision making. Newer satellites are being launched with advanced sensors that can detect pollutants more precisely and at a finer spatial scales as well. Now, AI models have also become very intelligent, capable of learning from multiple data sources such as weather data, traffic patterns, and industrial activity. Tell us what's happening now, but will likely tell us what is going to happen next. This shift from monitoring to prediction and hence prevention will play a key role in reducing the health risk and improvising the environmental management. On the screen, you could see a few of the snippets from our AQI product. So I would like to say that overall impact of satellite-based AQI intelligence now at this stage, for us, it is very important to understand the bigger impact of satellite-based AQI monitoring intelligence. Such systems help government move from reactive to proactive planning. Now, instead of responding after pollution becomes severe, authorities can now act early based on the forecast that we are providing and also mitigate the risk indications. This leads to the better policy decisions, improved public communication, and more effective pollution control strategies from them. Satellite-based AQI monitoring or intelligence also supports transparency and accountability as pollution data becomes visible and easily accessible. Thank you for joining